There is something about your thoughts that has a lot to do with the things you create. The Japanese will say good thinking, good product. It's going to be an exciting day today on Tech Chat with Revo. I am Revo. Get your friends and loved ones, share this link with anybody and everyone you can. Let them be part of today's Tech Chat with Revo. We're going to be learning the secret of God's wonderful works. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll begin to get into this wonderful discussion today. Welcome back to Tech Chat with Revo. I am still Revo. Thank you for always tuning in here every week to get our weekly episode on Tech Chat with Revo. Today I'll be charging you to think deep. Think deep. Let me read this passage of the scriptures. Psalms chapter 1 from verse 1 to 3. Blessed is the man that walk not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor seated at the seat of the scornful. Verse 2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. 3. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruits in his season. His leaves also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. What an interesting read. This is one of the verses or one of the scriptures I've read over and over, and it doesn't get old. Like every part of the scripture comes new every time we read it. And there's a progression from verse 1. The man first starts by walking, and then he stands and he sits. If the Bible encourages us not to walk, stand, nor sit where the scornfuls are, truth be told, there is something you can walk, stand, and sit on. And that's what we'll be talking about today. About you sitting on the assignment given to you. Thinking about what you've been asked to do. Thinking deep. A lot of us are shallow in our thoughts. And today I'm charging you to come out of that shallow part and get into the depths of things. Begin to think deep. And you will be amazed at what will come out of your deep thoughts. Have you wondered why the works of God are so awesome, amazing, wonderful? Look at the sky. Sometimes just go to the beach and you see the beauty of God's creation. They're amazing, awesome, wonderful. And the Bible tells us why it's so. Let's read this in the book of Psalms, chapter 92. We'll read verse 5 and 6 from two different translations. First, King James and Passion Translation. O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. Whoa. If I read verse 6, I need to read that verse 5 again. O Lord, how great are thy works, and thy thoughts are very deep. Verse 6, a brutish man knoweth not, neither doth a fool understand this. Passion Translation of the same verse. Verse 5 and 6 of Psalm 92. What mighty miracles and your power at work. Just to name a few. Depth of purpose and layers of meaning saturate everything you do. Oh, I feel like shouting here. It says that depth of purpose and layers of meaning saturate everything God does. Meaning, God does not do what he doesn't think deep about. Everything you see of God as a result of deep thoughts. For every of God's creation, deep thoughts went into it. Let me read verse 6. I'm already excited here today. Let me read verse 6. It says, such amazing mysteries found within every miracle that nearly everyone seems to miss. Those with no discernment can never really discover the deep and glorious secret hidden in your ways. In other words, those with no discernment, and you are not one of them if you are watching this tech chat today, we're bringing that clear to you. What people consider as mystery of God's creation. The psalmist, by revelation, tells us here that what people consider the mystery of God's creation was simply because God is a deep thinker. His thoughts are deep. His thoughts are deep. Read these verses again and again, and you will be amazed. I mean, it's amazing how beautiful, excellent, wonderful the works of God are. The works of God are. And these works are that way because God is a deep thinker. He thinks deep. I mentioned this as we started in the introduction. The Japanese will say to us, good thinking, good products. And on this program today, I'm saying to you, deep thinking, high products. Hear this. Deep thinking will give you high value, premium products. Deep thinking will give you premium products, high products. And a lot of times I see a lot of us that we are in a haste to carry out what we've been asked to do. And sometimes when you see people doing something as on the shallow, on the surface, you know. And when you see people who think about what they are asked to do, you will know. I'm charging you today. Before you get to do what you've been asked to do, spend some time to think, brood over it, think about it, think deep about it, ask the right questions. It will help you. It will help you. So today, I'm going to be giving you 3 or 4, depending on what time permits us to do today, 3 or 4 ways or things that will help you to think deep. I know every one of us wants to think deep. You want to be a deep thinker. You want, when something comes out of you, it is not the normal. It is not ordinary. It's something unusual. It's something exceptional. It's as a result of deep thought. Like I always say to you on this program, we have a lot of copycats today. And that's because people are lazy to think. People are lazy to think. And I'm calling you, I'm charging you today. Let's get into that deep waters and begin to get the mind of God concerning things. Get into deep thoughts. Think deep. Think deep. Think beyond the surface. So, how to think deep? Number 1, create the right atmosphere. Create the right atmosphere. There are atmosphere that enables deep thinking. There are atmospheres that enables deep thinking. Sharing in church the other day about creating atmosphere. Listen, be responsible for your atmosphere. Atmospheres are not given. Atmospheres are created. Be responsible for your atmosphere. So you create that enabling atmosphere for deep thoughts. There are atmospheres that enables deep thoughts. And that's number 1, create atmosphere, the right atmosphere for deep thoughts. The right thinking, the right environment that will enable you to think deep. That's number 1. I'm giving you tips on what can help you to think deep. Number 1 is the environment, the atmosphere you create. And good thing about the atmosphere is that you are responsible for the atmosphere you enjoy. You are responsible for the atmosphere you enjoy. Be in charge of your atmosphere. Be in charge of your atmosphere. And you can determine what happens within your space. You can create your atmosphere. Number 2, because we need to run. Number 2, eliminate distractions. Listen, we live in a world today that is very noisy. It's very noisy. And in such a noisy world, sometimes you are so distracted. You just pick an item to think on. You just pick one thing to think on. And while you are on it, a lot of things are bombarding your mind. There are pictures everywhere. There are voices everywhere. There are signals coming everywhere. If you are not careful, you'll be distracted. So, eliminate distractions. So, you must know what is important. You must know what is urgent. You must know what you must do now. You must know the things you can push. You must know what you can delegate. You must listen. There are things you can ask people to do for you. There are things you can outsource. There are things you can delegate. There are things you can push to someone to do, so you can focus and do what is right for you to do, which is to think deep on the assignments that's been committed into your hands. Learn to delegate, learn to push off things, learn to prioritize, eliminate distraction. That's number 2. And number 3, learn to concentrate. Just a follow up on number 2. Learn to concentrate. Learn to concentrate. Listen, your enemy has one assignment, and that's to make you lose focus. And don't lose focus. Don't look focused. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. That's what the scripture says to us. If your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. So, learn to concentrate. Focus. That's the word. Focus. 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 You know why most of us don't think deep? Just pick an item to think on, and while you are brooding on that item, something comes by the way, and then you forget what you are thinking, and then you move on to another one, and before you know it, you've lost track, you've lost focus, you are no more concentrating. Learn to concentrate, learn to focus, learn to focus. This will enable you to think deep and, of course, come up with solutions. Learn to think deep. And, of course, by way of doing that is learn to concentrate. Learn to concentrate. And the fourth one and the last one today, before I read one verse or two, then we'll be closing today, is entertain high quality thoughts. You know, the Bible had told us what to think of. Philippians chapter 4 and verse 8. It tells us what to think on. Good things, things that are of worthy report, things that are noble, that are deep and wonderful things. Number 4, entertain high quality thoughts. Listen, I'm sure you must have heard that. Low people think about people. So you're not thinking about people. You're not thinking. There are one of the, it sounds interesting. One of the worst questions to ask, the wrong question to ask me is, what do you want to eat? I can't be thinking of what to eat. That shouldn't, my mind should not be occupied the whole day thinking what to eat. There are bigger things to think about. It's not about what to wear. There are bigger things. There are issues. There are issues you should think on. Learn to entertain high quality thoughts. High quality thoughts. High quality thoughts. High quality thoughts. Learn to entertain high quality thoughts. During the pandemic, again, I'm in the studios of Grace Impact Radio today. During the pandemic, I was thinking, how do we communicate our message to people and they pay less on data and they still enjoy what we are giving to them? How do we communicate to people and they stay concentrated and don't get distracted while they're following our programs online? It was in that thought, conversations came, that Grace Impact Radio was birthed. Listen, learn to think high quality thoughts. How do you make humanity better? How do you make the nation better? How do you make your organization better? Learn to think high quality thoughts. Learn to think high quality thoughts. Let's not celebrate mundane. Let's not have that tyranny of the mundane, where we celebrate average, where we celebrate mediocrity. Learn to, like the angel will say to John, come up higher. Revelation 1 verse 4. And I'm charging you to come up higher. Learn to think high quality thoughts, life-changing thoughts. Learn to think high quality thoughts, life-changing thoughts. Somebody just thought. And we are experiencing it today. Everything you see is as a result of somebody's thoughts. I'm reaching you today because somebody thought that this is possible. That I can be omnipresent. I can be one place and in many places at the same time. Think deep thoughts. Think high-quality thoughts. It will help you to entertain high-quality thoughts. It will help you to think deep. Let me read this last verse as we close today. Psalm 107 and verse 23 and 24. Psalm 107 verse 23 and 24. Again, I'm going to read it quickly from two different translations, King James and Passion Translation. They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great waters. Verse 24. These see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep. I just read King James. Let me read it from the Passion Translation. Some of us set sail upon the sea to faraway ports, transporting our goods from ship to shore. Verse 24. We were witnesses of God's power at work in the ocean deep, and saw breathtaking wonders upon the high sea. Listen to this. There are deep waters for us to tread on. There are deep waters for us to tread on. And I'm charging you today. Come out of the surface. Don't get into those shallow thoughts. Don't get into those mundane thoughts. Let's dig deep. Solutions abound, and our world is waiting for us to manifest the solutions that we can only get when our thoughts are deep. I believe that this has been a blessing to you. Till I see you and hear from you again, remember, God has placed you where you are for you to be in charge. I'm therefore charging you today to take charge.